and welcome to this episode of the Total Podcast with me, your host, Phil Scott. On this episode of the Total Podcast, I have a very special guest. She's written a wonderful children's book that I think you'll be fascinated by, and you'll be fascinated by her story as well. Her name is Megan Cauthen, and without further delay, let's get started. So, why don't you
Mhm.
explain your condition, the family history of your condition, and then let's go back to that part of the story because this is fascinating. Let's go back to.
No,
So, go ahead and
okay,
tell
that's
us about your
fine.
condition because that's the big setup here.
Right. So if you guys don't know, albinism is I don't have any pigmentation in my hair, skin, or eyes. That's pretty much sums everything up. I'm very fair skinned. Me and my brother Marty, also known as Tay, we are the only one in our family with albinism. And the short term for that is albino, which a lot of people probably know it as albino. And it does affect our vision. However, some people can drive, some people can't. Unfortunately for me, I do not drive because of my vision, but I'm hoping one day, I'll be able to drive. My parents are not albino at all. So yeah, it's very interesting growing up because I don't want to sound bad when I say this. It was like me and my brother, we are the oddball because we are the only fair skinned, you know, people in our family. Yeah, but yeah, so we don't have any pigmentation in our hair, skin, or eyes. So we do burn easily in the sun. So we have to make sure that we wear sunscreen, wear sunglasses. We do wear glasses. However, I do need to wear my reading glasses a lot more. I don't. Um, but I'm gonna start back wearing them. My brother, he wears his all the time faithfully. He gets on me because I don't wear mine. But yeah, we do wear glasses. But we are thriving. We're still able to do what others are able to do. We just, lack low vision. And that's okay. But it doesn't hinder us from doing the things that we want to do.
Now, going back to your school years, you were saying
Mhm.
how difficult that year was.
Oh
Um,
yeah. So middle school, Quail Hollow. Um, it was more diverse. So it was very cultural, like I said, comparing to Indian land. So of course, I got stares. I got, oh, she looks like Casper, the friendly ghost. Like, I just got called all kinds of names. This girl thinks she's black or she's a wannabe, just a wannabe, like just saying all kinds of stuff. And I can remember um I went home crying to my mom. I'm just like, can I just please go back to Indian land and live with my grandparents?
wow.
Because I was a grandma's girl, so yeah, I was like, just let me go back with my grandparents. But my mom said no. She was like, let's just see how it is after the first month. Things got better. The same people that were teasing me were wanting to be my friend, and I get, you know, it's middle school. A lot of people are not aware of what this is. So some people just don't know. But it really hurt my feelings because why y'all being mean to me? I just have fair skin and yeah, my eyes move, but I don't know. It was just like a very tough first month. But like I said, things got so much better. So I met friends, of course. My best friend Monique, I met her my sixth grade year. We've been friends for 23 years. We're still very close.
Wow.
And then when I started high school, we moved back to South Carolina. So I was able to go back to Indian land and be with all my friends, from elementary. And that wasn't as bad because I feel like everybody knew me. And yeah, there were new people, but it wasn't a lot of teasing or anything. I went off to college. I went to an HBCU. So I was a little new because here I am, like being probably gonna be the only albino at my school. And I was. And people would say stuff here and there, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Um, so that was pretty good, and I met some really good friends who I'm still very close with in college. I'm still very close with them now. So yeah, it's been some times. I've had some pretty tough times, but I've overcame them. Like I said, I can remember I would ask my mom if she could paint me brown because I wanted to
Oh,
look like her and the rest of my family
oh.
because I just did not want to be fair skinned.
Okay, so Megan, if you would tell us how your children's book was written, how you came across the idea for writing your children's book, and how long it took to write it, and what the whole process was like.
Okay. So when it comes to my children's book, my daughter actually was the push that I needed. She was in third grade at the time. She came home from school, asked if I could um, write a letter to her class because she's tired of explaining to them what albinism is. So that just touched my heart, and so I was like, you know what, I'll do something even better. I'll write a children's book. And she was definitely the push I needed to write the children's book. Because of course people was asking her questions. Is she mixed? Is she adopted? Why does her mom look like this and that? So when it came to writing the book, it literally took me between 20 to 30 minutes to write it out because, well, once I figured out the route I was going to go as far as like using a albino little girl, which is Nellie, and then the squirrel Ollie, who has albino too, who is albino as well. Um, it was pretty easy because it's just a lived experience between me and my brother. So it was very easy to write. But with the editing process, it took some months because had to file an illustrator, all that good stuff, editor. But I actually got my best friend to edit my book for me.
On this episode of the Total Podcast, I have a very special guest. She has written a children's book, and also she has her own YouTube channel, and I'll let her tell her all about yourself. So without further delay, here is Kitty Kathy Clara.
And yeah, and the reason why I wrote this book is because I was struggling with a lot of things in my life and I was in a really, really dark area. And I just needed something to sort of give me something to, like, I don't know, like motivate me almost. And I was just sat at home and I was off work sick because I was working a very physical job at the time and I ended up with an injury from it. And I hurt all my neck, so like all this muscle here is still quite tender to this day.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so, and I was just sat like watching telly. I was just like jotting down ideas. Originally, Lilibet was going to be a little panda bear called Lily, but in a certain idea, it just doesn't connect well. And you're jotting down ideas, different notes, and you're just thinking, nah, I need something here. And on the TV, a picture of the Queen Paddington Bear came on, and that was it. Just this little bear. She just popped into my head out of nowhere, and I was like, yeah, that's it. Lilibet, the little teddy bear. And there's like the little vintage style bear just like popped into my head, and I was like, and what colour could she wear? And I noticed the Queen was like wearing like a more of a bluey greeny sort of outfit. And I was like, yeah, a blue bow and a blue matching dress, that would work.
Well, it's
That would
amazing.
work.
It's
That would
amazing
really
too
work.
how therapeutic writing can be, isn't it?
Absolutely, definitely. And we can go to like anywhere when we write, whether it be back to places from our past or whether it's like made up places. I think it really brings out a good quality in people.
Yes. Okay, now in terms of getting it published and doing the artwork and everything, what was that process like for you?
So I didn't illustrate this book. I just wrote it. I worked with a publishing team and they had illustrators that was able to create this for me. And they've actually done a really, really great job. I'm really happy with how it came out because this was just the exact bear that I had in mind.
Oh, wow. And how long did it
um,
take for them to start with the artwork and everything to get your writing
um,
in sync with the book and then the
yeah, it took a
process of
good, I'd say it took a good about 3 or 4 months. Like,
my question
yeah.
now is, have you had a chance to read your book in person to children? And then tell us about your YouTube channel.
Um, I've read my book to some children, yeah, and I've had quite positive feedback from them. And my YouTube channel, that just started from just an idea that I had. I thought I'd love to read bedtime stories to children and create a really calm, nurturing place for them to go to on a night. And I think reading bedtime stories is just a really, really great way of creating that for children. And, like just something for children to wind down to on a night and just relax to.
Can you tell us what your YouTube channel is and how people can get to it?
Yeah, so it's called Kitty's Bedtime Stories, and there's a link on my Instagram profile. You can just click it, and yeah, I'll be uploading more videos. There's definitely more stories I'd love to share with you all.
All right. Now, also, and I know some authors are able to relate to their characters on a personal level. How do you relate to Lilibet on a personal level?
I relate to Lilibet in the sense that um, she stands up to badness in the book because like there's a bad guy in the book and he tries to pick on the woman who has the teddy bear shop and she stands up to him, and like I believe that we should stand up to people that try and bully us. And it says that in one of the teddy bear promises, uh, I stand up for what's right even when it's hard. And it's hard to stand up to bullies, it really is, but we've got to do it. We've got to do it.
Yes. Yeah, there was an author that I just interviewed
We've got to
recently,
do it.
and she wrote a book. She wrote a series of books, and one of her books was about bullying and just how prevalent it is. And so I
Mm.
think that's a good object lesson for you to have written about in your book. So that's awesome. Okay, so you have a teddy bear promise for your book. Could you share that with us? Because it's quite important.
Yeah, so instead of writing a blurb, I thought do something a little bit different. I thought, I know, I could think of some teddy bear promises. So I may be small, but my heart is strong. I stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. I'll help my friends, big or small, and just like Lilibet, I'll never give up. And then I wanted to do something a little bit more heartfelt. So place your hand on your heart and say it with a smile.
Oh,
I just wanted to do something really heartfelt, and a little bit, kind of like a little bit of an activity for children to do, at the end of the story.
now, do you plan on writing more books? Are there going to be more Lilibet books?
Yeah, I have one sort of in the making. I've just started it, but I definitely plan to write different Lilibet stories. I even plan to write a Christmas Lilibet, where Lilibet meets Father Christmas and all the elves in Santa's workshop. I plan to also write one about Halloween based around the pumpkin patch and different Halloween themed stuff. So there's lots of different books in development.
That's awesome. If you have any advice for any aspiring writer, what advice would you give them?
Just simply, if you have a good idea, write it down because you never know where it could end up.